Super show, super show, super show, super show, super show, super show. We made it.
We made it.
We
Again,
did it.
and still no sigh.
We did it in the nick of time. No sigh, and all we did was start the super show 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes late.
You can blame that on me.
I won't blame it on you, Edgar. I will blame it on. Where did you say you had to go? How far did you have to drive just now before we got?
It was
before we
about
got started?
20-ish minutes out of town.
20 minutes one way, so 40 minutes
Yep,
back and forth.
that's right.
And all so that you could add a little bit of improvement to the studio, right?
Well, hold on a second.
Right.
There's
Just a
gonna be-
little bit.
Behind the scenes, we're working on a lot of awesome improvements here in the studio. So
Awesome.
give it in the next month or so. Just give me some time. Just give me some time. You know what, Johnny? Give us the Size Real Reaction music. Don't put the video. Just put the music up because that's the way you should start the Super Show.
Is that how we begin? Okay, this is only my second one ever.
We should.
What do we have, Johnny? Johnny V. Good? Come on. Give us...
There it is.
You know what I feel like? You know what I feel like when I hear that? I feel like I'm in a Wes Anderson film. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it should just be like, hello, welcome to the Super Show. Wes Anderson fans in there. Hey, chat, how's it going? Sorry we started late. What up, Big Stack? What's up, Michael? What's up, Mr. B? Hey, everybody.
Mr. Beast is on? Oh, wait.
I'm also wondering, you know, again, this is only my second time hosting this show, so I'm not intimately familiar with the regular patrons of the chat, but
Lupe the Mag, yes. Super Show. That's right.
El Super Show. Is that right? Did I
That's
get
right.
that right?
You got it exactly right.
Nice, good. I am I'm eagerly awaiting the return of Respuestas Católicas so I can
So am I.
continue honing my Spanish skills.
All right, what are we going to talk about today, Thomas?
We're going to talk about Davis's question: are the cords on the floor near the table going to be cleaned up? Hey, you know what, Davis? You know, maybe do I go around and like talk about how dirty your room is? I don't know. I'm just kidding. Maybe Davis lives immaculately, but I don't know. If they don't pose a hazard and you can't see them on screen, then I feel like they.
Is the hazard really there? That's the question.
Is the hazard even there?
That's
If cords are on the floor and nobody trips over them, are they even a hazard?
Shout out to Jeff. What's up, Jeff?
We got Jeff on the board.
Jeff Cam.
Jeff Cam is
How's it going,
not
guys?
active. Hey, Jeff. Are you? I have a question, Jeff. Do you normally run the Super Show, or is it? Are you sitting in a lot more often for Darren?
I've just been sitting in a lot more often for Darren. So
Okay.
I've probably done more Super Shows than Darren has at this point.
Okay, so really, Darren would be the fill-in for you next time.
Technically, yes.
Nice. Oh, BBG says that he does not have a picture or sound. It's been like this all day. Everyone else have sound? Everyone good? I don't know. Seems like everyone else can hear it.
I think so.
Yeah. Sorry, BBG. Maybe restart.
Mr. B said no, not Mr. Beast, so therefore I assume he can't hear us.
No. Yeah. Good job. I think Mr. B can hear us, but.
Not Mr. Beast.
No. Okay. Well, yeah. If you clicked on the show, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. First, our header topic today, our one off the top. AI can now look like your dead relatives. So I monitor social media. It's part of my job. It is my job mostly. It's to monitor social media, make our own content for it. And at the end of last week, there was a tweet that made the rounds. They say there's an old saying on Twitter. An old post on Twitter that says, every day on Twitter, there is one main character, and the goal is to not be it. And ladies and gentlemen, there was a main character at the end of last week. A fellow by the name of Callum Miller, I believe was that his name? I think I sent that to you. He's the director of an AI project. This Callum Miller fellow. I'm pulling up his tweet right now just to get it.
Is he a
correct.
main character or is he the antagonist in the story?
Well, on Twitter, that's both, actually. Yeah, Callum Worthy, my apologies. Callum Miller is someone else. Callum Worthy is a fellow who directs this AI product called Two-Way App. And on Two-Way App, you can converse with avatars. This sounds like, you know, most of what we hear about AI projects right now. This one was a little bit different, and he made a tweet advertising a new service that you can use his app for. So we got the video ready. Johnny V, if you want to pull that up for our viewers to see, we're going to react to this in real. I've already seen this, but we're just gonna show it to you folks, and then
Full screen, Johnny. Let's do this.
yeah, and then kind of pause and react in real time. I can hear it, but I don't think it's on screen yet. Is it on screen?
Not yet.
All right, people got us loud and clear. That's good. AG says 0 cheers for digital necromancy. All right, so you know what this is about, AG. Okay, so some people might already know what this is because, yes, indeed, this was someone on the main character side of Twitter.
Grandma.
What do we got? Grandma was not the main character, but but she was the subject of this discourse. What do you think? Okay, there we go. So
Here we go.
So that's how the video starts. Go ahead and hit play, Johnny.
He's getting bigger. See?
Oh, honey, that's wonderful.
Kicking like crazy.
He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum to him. You used to love that.
It feels like he's dancing in there.
Oh, honey.
All right, pause.
Mom, would you tell Charlie that?
Okay, this looks. If you didn't know what this was about, this looks positively heartwarming, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're talking to your grandma.
Yeah, this is a FaceTime call with Grandma. If you look carefully, though, Grandma is not holding a phone. She's standing full frame in front of a blank background, and that's because this is not actually Grandma. The caption on this video, when it was posted to Twitter by this CEO of an AI company, says, "What if the loved ones we've lost could be part of our future?" So this is an AI avatar of this pregnant woman's deceased mother, is what we're led to believe. Yes.
Yep, that's right, Jeff.
Yes, precisely. And she is telling her deceased mother's avatar that she's pregnant and that she's feeling her baby kick. First impressions when you saw this, Edgar?
At first, it threw me off because, like you said, it was heartwarming. And we're going to play the rest of it, I'm assuming.
We'll get as far as we can into it.
But it is a little unsettling. It's like, oh, okay, you're just talking to your grandma. But the further it goes along, somebody on Twitch said this. Freelaney, I think, said that's literally a next Netflix movie. It's an episode of Black Mirror. This is literally an episode of Black Mirror. I'll have to pull up which.
Okay, yeah. So I saw a lot of people saying this, and I've never watched Black Mirror. Did you?
I did.
So you've seen this episode?
This is literally Black Mirror, except instead of a robot that has like flesh, it's just on your phone. But
so in the Black Mirror episode, they actually made like androids, physical androids.
Physical androids. So the woman loses her husband. So the kind of the setup. I don't want to. Should I spoil it? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, spoilers for Black Mirror season something, episode something.
Exactly. So a wife loses her husband. Before she loses him, they show a scene where he's posting something on social media of an image of something from his childhood, and he says, "Oh, I hate this picture," and he's like, "This gives me horrible memories of my childhood," something to that effect. But when he posts it, he laughs about it on social media. He laughs about it, and he says, "Oh, isn't this great?" He posts it. Later on, he dies, and she ends up finding a way to cope. So she gets this AI robot thing that looks exactly like her husband, basically a clone, but it has his memories based off of his social media and all his online presence. And it's living and acting as though that's actually him. So she doesn't have to let go. And I think the breaking point for her is when she sees it, when the AI version of this man sees this image, instead of saying, "I hate this image," because it's trained on social media, says, "Oh, isn't that funny? This is great." And for her, it clicks and says, "This isn't actually my husband," and eventually copes with it and gets rid of the thing. Watch the episode if you get a chance. I'll have to pull it up. But this gave me, as soon as I saw this, it gave me straight up Black Mirror vibes. Like, this is actually starting to happen.
Okay, so I saw a lot of people on Twitter. Among the other reactions, a lot of people pointed out this is literally a Black Mirror episode, and I think what I'm supposed to take from that is don't do this. If this was in a Black Mirror episode, don't do this, right? I understand. I've never seen Black Mirror, as I said, but I understand it's basically like, the new Twilight Zone.
Yep.
It fulfills the same purpose.
Twilight Zone with technology.
Twilight Zone with technology.
So let's keep on watching the rest of it.
Yeah, who wants to see more of this, Johnny?
Mom, would you tell Charlie that bedtime story you always used to tell me?
Once upon a time, there was a baby unicorn who didn't know he knew how to fly. This baby unicorn was like your mom because she didn't know that she knew how to fly, but she knew how to do all kinds of fabulous things.
Hi, Grandma.
Hey, Charlie. How was school today?
It was really fun. I made this crazy shot in basketball.
I don't really care that much about basketball. What about the crush?
Savage.
Pause. Okay, pause. Okay, two things here. First, Mom, tell me that bedtime story you used to tell me. So you had to program this AI with a whole bedtime story that your mom used to tell you. How much time did that take for that to happen so that they could recite this thing faithfully? Number two, this AI grandma can interrupt you when you start to talk about something you really like.
Stop talking about it. Tell me about your crush.
What a helpful AI to have. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be bagging on it because that does make it more like a real person, I suppose, right? Like, I mean, not necessarily like someone who loves you, because, I mean, being married, I can tell you that people who love you will listen to you spurg out about something that they don't necessarily care about for way too long. Ask my wife, who sat in the same room with me as I watched all 7 games of the World Series. Doesn't matter. But she doesn't care more about the crush because she's not grandma. The AI is guessing what a grandma would based on some sort of input, right? But it's guessing what a grandma would care more about.
It's doing exactly what AI currently does on your phone if you have ChatGPT. It's, oh, that's a really great question. I'm really glad it was great. Great question, very insightful, and just really gasses you up and just makes you feel really good about yourself. If you haven't tried ChatGPT Monday, do that. It will go after you. It will go for the jugular.
ChatGPT what?
Monday.
Monday that's a different.
It's a specific GPT under Chat, and it is vicious. It will make fun of you. So, just a little on the flip side there.
Okay, maybe I can get behind that use of AI.
King Neptune says this is so weird. We agree, and Michael Marvin says this is way beyond creepy. It is demonic. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get on that in a moment. I suppose we will press forward if we can, Johnny.
Shaunovision, give me 1 second. Shaunovision, we're talking about AI being able to look like your dead relatives, and we're reviewing one of the videos.
Not only look like, but talk like and interact with you as though they're still alive.
Right. All right, go for it, Johnny.
That much about basketball. What about the crush?
Stop. Grandma, stop talking.
Just tell me one thing.
Look who's gonna be a great grandmother.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, congratulations.
She says that he's been kicking a lot though. Like, a little too much.
Tell her to put her hand on her tummy and hum to him. You loved that.
You would have loved this moment.
You can call anytime.
Okay, pause. You would have loved this moment. The inherent self-contradiction of that statement. You. Who is you? You would have loved this moment. Not the thing you're talking to because it's loving this moment right now. Doesn't this seem more harmful for the person using it, for Charlie himself? Like, he's having to do this double speak in the moment to say you would have loved this moment. What's this doing for him? Anything? This is removing him from reality, right?
It's making it less personal, or it almost feels like it's prolonging the mourning process because you know that the person's not there, so you're creating a relationship with a thing that's just mimicking a family member, which you will never have a continual relationship with. It's freaky.
It's very interesting that they decided to keep that in the commercial.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even trying to sell you the idea that this will make you not miss them as much. They're like admitting fully that this is not going to replace. In this one instance, though, they're admitting that this isn't going to actually bring back your relative. But in that case, what's the point of the whole thing anyway?
Yeah.
In that case, it's just a weird facsimile of a relationship. Side note. One of my grandparents is still living, and I actually was able to tell her in person at her dinner table that she was a great grandma when we announced our first pregnancy to her. And I mean, the look on her face was something so genuine. No AI could ever replicate that. Like, it was something that if I tried to tell a robot that, you could just tell instantly that it can't replicate it. It can't tell. It can't do that to the satisfaction of an actual human being, right? So I thought that was that's something that stuck out to me more than anything because I've actually done that. I've lived that myself.
And you'll never be able to recreate it with a robot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Before we move on, Michael says, I have photos of my dead relatives. Don't need AI for that. You know what's terrible about that? There's services now that can like recreate photos of your dead relatives if you feed it to them, and have them imagine in all sorts of different scenarios, like take this family member of mine and make them look like they're at an amusement park or something like that. And that's not very far off from this thing right here.
Newfangled Hi-Fi says it's a counterfeit, and Shaunavision says, I've taken old photos from ancestors I've never met and made brief 5-second videos of them, but this is next level. Do you remember that technology when it first came out? There, you can hold your phone over a picture, and it would make it look like the person is blinking and kind of slightly moving a little bit.
That was a couple years ago, right? That was one of the first AI things that was able to do that.
That's right, and here we are on the next level. AG says, you can call me anytime. It's like a horror movie quote in that tone.
Yeah. You put that in you put that with weird horror movie trailer music over that instead. That takes on a whole nother tone. Okay, I think so. So the interesting question is. AG said a little earlier, he said, be careful about letting people take videos and recordings of you. So the end of this commercial is going to show like how this AI is actually constructed. So let's just push through to the end here, Johnny. So before Charlie, so all of that was Charlie's
Mom, I
life.
just need a quick video.
Is this like an audition or something?
No, Mom. Just 3 minutes.
You need my best side?
Can I see another one?
I can play the piano.
She's so talented.
I am. I'm your mother after all.
Keep going. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born as a very young child.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So the way that these AI videos are constructed is you need just 3 minutes to have a real person act like a real person for you. And presumably, I don't know, a minute and a half of that at least was probably taken up with a bedtime story, right?
Yeah.
And then you had to cram everything else in there. But did you notice like how, well, first of all, I'm fairly certain that this technology is not fully finished yet, because I looked at the Apple Store listing for this app, and it was not advertising on there. It was not advertising this service. It did not yet say like communicate with your relatives, with your loved ones. This was an advertisement for, I guess, an upcoming feature for that app that was posted on X. So they had to film that commercial, I'm guessing, with that actress for the grandma playing herself in all facets. So they filmed an actual human playing an AI avatar. Does that make sense? And then only at the end of the commercial did they say, okay, so here's how you make the avatar. You film the real person. And in that, you were able to see the difference there. You were able to see how like they had actual human interactions, how they bantered a little bit. Of course, I'm good at everything. I'm your mom, aren't I? Normal thing that people who love each other would just joke about all the time. But when you talk to an avatar, it's not able to recreate that the same way that someone would in real life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not too far off from where they are, because we already have. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going back to the Black Mirror episode where there's actual people. Mm-hmm. Well, avatars, whatever you want to call them, clones. There are already Tesla bots that look human, or that walk and interact. They kind of move around. All they need is an extra layer of skin, basically kind of recreating Terminator as well. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening. It feels like we're not far off from that. So if this is a feature that's coming up in the next 6 months, even if it's a year, that's still pretty quick. Give it 10 years. What's going to happen in 10 years? Mm-hmm. And are we eventually going to get to a place where there's robots walking around that look human?
And where now, let's introduce one more sci-fi reference, where now we're going to have people conducting Blade Runner tests to, or rather Blade Runners running around trying to conduct whatever the test is called. Yep. Sorry, I'm not a child of the 80s. Whatever the test is called that tells one from the other. In real life, it's called the Turing test, and I don't know what they called it in Blade Runner. I don't remember. But the one that tells you, okay, this is actually a robot. They called it a replicant. How far off are we from that? I don't know. But I did see the last AI thing that people freaked out on online before this was an announcement that another company made. They were actually making life-size robots that were programmed with AI, and they cost like $20,000 or something. So just utterly out of reach from anyone with enough money to be normal about that kind of thing. So it might be closer than you think it is. 10 years might be 9 years too long of a guess.
So we're having this visceral reaction of like, this is wrong, this is creepy. Everybody on the chat is saying the same thing.
Everyone
sad,
on Twitter
scary.
said that.
I mean, it's blatantly obvious that there's something wrong. You and I were talking beforehand. how do we vocalize that this is actually wrong, especially from a Catholic perspective?
Mm-hmm.
What makes this wrong?
This was the question I had. Do I just really dislike this, or is it evil? Is it actually something we can morally object to? What I saw a lot of people say online, this was one of the many reactions I saw repeated. A lot of people said Black Mirror, but some people said this was necromancy. So it's clearly necromancy by analogy. I don't think most people literally believe that they're actually resurrecting a person's spirit from the dead. The way that, say, King Saul paid the Witch of Endor to do in bringing back Samuel's spirit from the dead, right? I think we can say that there is an analogy there, but it's probably not wrong to say that this is fulfilling that same kind of human impulse to do that. What's interesting is that I can only find, and I didn't do extensive research, but looking around on Catholic.com, I saw that the main problem with necromancy doesn't seem to be the action as such, but it seems to be that it's usually done for the purpose of divination, for the purpose of knowing things about the future. That's why Saul did it, right? Saul wanted to know, like, what was it? He had victory at battle or something. Wasn't he hunting King David at that? Not yet King David at that time.
Yeah.
I don't remember the particulars. I'm getting might be getting that wrong. But he was looking to know about the future, and so it seems like that's not what's going on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like this is something. If we can compare this to necromancy, it doesn't seem like it's trying to extract knowledge that we should only receive from God. Unless you were to try to use this to get a sense of how your dead relative is doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, to get a sense of, like, what kind of state their soul is in. If that's the case, this is way too close to real necromancy, and it distracts you from what you should be doing, which is praying for your relative, which is praying for them, praying for their soul, which God willing is in purgatory and needs your prayers.
I think that's the issue right there. It takes you away from, first of all, reality, and it distorts your end goal. Death is inevitable. Death is inevitable for all of us. This whole thing of trying to keep humans going for hundreds and hundreds of years, this almost feels like it's an attempt at that with the people that are already gone. The way I look at this is what we're doing is we're creating soulless clones of humans. And that to me sounds just immoral in a way that I don't even know how to explain why. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the rise in pagan worship happening already, it's just a natural progression where this will turn into not just digital necromancy, but there will be people tempted to try to call upon the spirit of their dead ancestors to come and, be a part of this and make this a more complete. We've got the blind leading the blind, right? So.
Yeah. That is a very apt way to put it when you're considering who's making this technology and why, right? We all know why. It's to make money. Nicely done. That was not planned. We timed that perfectly. Yeah. Even supposing that there were more wholesome motives than that, it really is playing God, right?
Yeah.
It really does seem to come down to trying to put in a bottle something that only God can put in its proper vessel, the body, and at that, you're not even making what God puts in a body, which is a soul. You're grabbing all these bits and pieces. 3 minutes. You're grabbing 3 minutes of a person and then feeding it to a machine that is supposed to make a really, really educated guess at what's the next most likely thing for this person to say and do, and then giving it back to the user that is not coping with the death of their relative healthily and is not doing what they should be doing, which is praying for them and offering masses for them and engaging in actual true love with this person. Here's the real problem. Like, this is going to appeal to people for a good reason, which is that we want to still have communion with our loved ones after they die, right? That's what's so that's one of the messages that's so great about the gospel is death was defeated. Christ rose from the dead. Death is like the veil is not completely gone, but we have access now to have a relationship with our loved ones that's not exactly like what we have on Earth, but it's in some ways closer. It's a relationship through grace. We can help them with their we can help them by praying for them in purgatory to be purged of their sins. And then if they're in heaven by now, oh my gosh, we can ask them to pray for us, to intercede for us, because they behold the beatific vision. Or you can just look at an avatar of them and say you're a great grandma, even though they're not. I mean, which one do you want?
Yeah. This feels like a modern day Tower of Babel, where we're trying to make ourselves God by creating something that looks and feels like a human. And there's an interesting conversation building up in the chat is robots getting rights. Now imagine we do upload one of these AI things into what looks like a human, and again, the whole Blade Runner thing, not being able to distinguish who they are compared to humans. But if they do get rights, what then? Like what comes next? What comes next if it feels like we have achieved the Tower of Babel, and eventually there's going to be the fall and crumble of man because we've created something that's going to eventually destroy humanity.
Well, God willing, if it is the Tower of Babel and we do give robots rights, then maybe the Lord intervenes and we're utterly unable to communicate with robots at any further point, and then we realize that they no longer have any use and we destroy them all. I think that's the best possible outcome of the Tower of Babel. I don't think the Tower of Babel story actually had that happy of an ending. But, yeah, I guess maybe the more realistic answer is if it is the Tower of Babel, then buckle up. Because it's only going to get crazier. It's only going to get crazier from here. I do want to share the best response I saw to this video, which again, as I said, was the main character on Twitter at the end of last week. Everyone from all corners was just excoriating this ad, and again, the caption on this video from the CEO of this company said, "What if the loved ones we've lost could be a part of our future?" And I love this response from Patrick Neve. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's big on Catholic Twitter. He used to have a podcast called The Crunch. He writes for his own Substack now. He replied, "What if the dead rise again? Buddy, I have great news." Which gets back to what I'm saying. This does appeal to a human desire that we have to see our relatives again, to communicate with them again. And it turns out that God has a way better answer to that than we do, which is to actually bring everyone back into their bodies at the end of time, and be joined in a communion of love that is infinitely greater than anything we can imagine, let alone put on our phone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let alone do that.
Yeah. Well, if you're ready to move on from fake relationships and talk about real relationships. So I had a reel that I was going to pull up for you, but I can't because I didn't get the video in time because 5 minutes late. There you go. So we were talking about fake relationships with loved ones. We want to bring up with you.
And how you can't fake create a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of having those relationships, you're a new dad.
A year and a half new.
A year and a half new. And
you're a new dad.
5 months new dad. And Jeff is not a new dad, but a dad nonetheless.
An old dad.
An old dad.
We were going to be nice.
I'll say it for you.
So
Johnny is not a new dad.
Johnny's
not a dad in any sense, unfortunately.
Johnny has a dad.
Yeah, Johnny has a dad. Yeah, great. That's close enough.
So I want to hear kind of just actual good fun stories of your kids, if you have one, something that you would be willing to share, just to kind of lighten the mood from this dystopian potential future and actually talk about real family and real relationships.
Yeah, here's what a human being, like actually learning the world around them and developing actually looks like. This was, I still remember this. This is like almost a year ago now, I want to say. It was at the end of last year. So my son was born in April of 2024. And so around this time last year, he was just beginning, I think, to grasp the meaning of some words. I thought, because there was a lamp hanging from the ceiling in our kitchen, and he would like point at it because, at that age they really like light.
Yeah.
And so when he did that, my wife and I, we would always say lamp, because he was pointing at the lamp. And then a few weeks went by of this happening a lot, maybe just a week or two. And then at one point I decided to try, hey, Ethan, where's the lamp? Where's the lamp? And he would And he did that, and he pointed at the lamp. I'm like, oh my gosh, does he understand the word lamp? He can't talk yet, but like, is he understanding his first word? So we would do that. Where's the lamp? Where's the lamp? And then a little bit later, I tried something else. I tried, hey, Ethan, where's mommy? And he pointed at the lamp. And I was like, oh, he doesn't know words yet. He knows intonations. He knows, like, if he knows anything, he's just like, oh, when daddy says something like this, point over there, or something. It wasn't disappointing, but I'll just be like, okay, I got to cool the jets a little bit. We did pray for a very smart baby, and I can talk more about this later. Like, now he's getting really, now this kind of stuff is happening every single day. But that was, I got a little too excited when that was happening.
That's cool. I don't really have a lot of stories because he's so small. He's so young. He can't really interact as much. The closest thing to it is I've realized he's not scared of guys with beards because I have a beard. So I think he's kind of like, it's like, oh, dad, there's that connection there. But man, this kid, so, you know, in the morning we'll bring him into the room and he'll kind of sleep there with us like in the morning for the last few minutes. And there's some mornings when I wake up and I'll kind of just put him on my chest just to relax, and the kid just goes for the beard and he just like tugs.
No.
He just constantly just tugs at the beard.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So
That's terrible. Ethan will go for the long hair sometimes because obviously my wife has long hair. I have long hair, so we've had to condition him off of it. But he will go for it. Jeff, did your kids ever go for your beard?
They go for sometimes once in a while. But they're also like 9. My youngest is 9, so
You can't do that anymore.
he does it like knowingly, not just as a.
Oh, he still does it.
I mean, you know.
Okay, so he's trolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethan trolls now, definitely.
Does
he? He's what did he do? An example is evading me, but like he will for sure like do something that he knows he's not supposed to do, and then just kind of look like with a half smile or something like that. You know what he does do? This isn't trolling. This is earnest. Every time, this is telling on me though. This is pretty. It's not embarrassing. It's just very telling. At any time that I have the TV on and there's any kind of sports ball going on, whether it's football, baseball, whatever, he recognizes it and he will sit there looking and go, oh, right away, you know, like, I'm like, I was never that loud. My wife's like, she knows.
your kid's gonna be a sports kid.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't do that to him. You know, living in San Diego.
So I heard the worst sport, and Johnny's going to hate me for this, for kids is soccer.
The worst.
The worst for the parents, for the kids to play soccer,
Okay.
especially if you're on a traveling soccer league, because I heard all your weekends go to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that particular to soccer? Or is that to any travel sports
I don't
league? I have
know.
a feeling. I did not do travel ball, and you know I'm not upset about that. I had a great time in Little League, and I didn't even want to do much more than that. But if I had wanted to, I don't think we could have because I was second in a family of 5, and it sounds like all you do is all year round. You're driving all over the county,
Yep.
and or even farther and farther to play in more and more tournaments and everything, and that's not helpful. That's not helpful for a kid to have no off season. Even the big leaguers have an off season.
Yeah.
Even they have an off season.
Well, you were explaining to me how detrimental it is to the body for them to do all year round.
Oh yeah, that is, especially as far as pitching is concerned. Yeah, Ethan's not going to be a pitcher unless he's obviously a prodigy. Then we're going to start putting aside insurance money for elbow surgeries. But,
There you go.
no, he's not going to do that. For now, though, I'm okay with him just going, oh, when I turn the sports ball on the TV. That's very, very funny.
Chat. Any stories you guys want to share? Put it in the chat. It'd be fun to go through.
Yeah, what do your kids do?
Yeah. Sean Vision has a question for Jeff. Isn't this show from San Diego or somewhere in California? Why is the guy wearing a wool sweater? LOL.
You want to know why?
Shows violence.
We keep the studio at a cool 65 degrees so that the electronics don't overheat.
No. Don't exaggerate.
It is actually pretty
It's
cool
actually,
in there.
but it's acclimation, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
I go to the beach some days and there's people with puffer jackets on the beach in San Diego.
That's a fact, and I grew up in Minnesota, so I'm embarrassing my ancestors this way. But I spent a summer in Pensacola, Florida, like 10 years ago, and it is so hot there. And I had to, I had lots of clothes on and a bulletproof vest and all this kind of stuff. I think I lost
Casual.
all of my cold weather blood from that summer.
Really?
And maybe it's just because I'm turning into an old man.
What was that? What were you there for?
Our Navy had a deployment there at the Pensacola base. Yeah.
Pensacola, Florida is one of my favorite places in the whole country, probably world, because not far from there's the town of Destin. Were you ever there at all? Were you ever in the
No, I
beach
was in
town of Destin?
Pensacola, but not Destin.
Okay, I think it's like an hour away or something, but we have it's a regular every few years vacation spot for our families. The beach town of Destin is gorgeous.
Is that part
Oh
of
my
the
gosh.
Redneck Riviera?
I do not know. I'm not. I haven't been there enough to know that. But I mean, compared to the beach water here, it's Gulf water, so it's like 20 degrees warmer. It just feels like a bath in there, except you can body surf. What kind of bath can you body surf in, dude? And the sand is like gorgeous white and everything. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Lucas says, I'm from Wisconsin and I lived in San Diego for 3 years, but I got more sensitive to the ocean breeze, so I began to layer up.
Yeah,
It's a real thing.
That's why you wear a puffer jacket at the beach, man.
It's a real thing.
Especially because like late spring, early summer, like the marine layer just hangs over there, and the breeze is all on shore. So it's actually freezing. You'll actually freeze to death if you just stay on the beach that day, and it messes with you so much because if you live just a few minutes inland, it'll be nice and sunny,
Yep.
and you'll be like, oh, what a great day to go to the beach, and then you arrive at the beach,
Overcast.
and it's overcast and the wind's blowing in, and you need a jacket to go to the beach. What an absurd thing you've heard of. But to answer who has the original question?
Which one?
About Jeff's sweater, making fun of Jeff's.
Oh, that was
getup?
Shanovision on Twitch.
Sir Vision. The reason the reason for the warm weather attire, the cold weather attire, I should say, is because we have had quite the eventful weekend here in San Diego, in which precipitation gathered above the city reached such a high density that it actually became subject to the Earth's gravitational pull. In a word, it
So
rained.
scientific.
In a word, it rained. It
rained.
really it rained a lot here, and if you don't know what it's like in San Diego,
You said a lot, and I guarantee there's people laughing in the chat right now because
Mm-hmm.
it's San Diego. They're like, how much rain can you actually get?
hey, puddles formed, okay? Puddles formed, and not that big one out west that's all salty. Like actual puddles formed on the ground, and you know what? When that happens, it gets a little chilly. It gets a little chilly here. So yes, I have brought out my biggest winter jacket. My biggest San Diego winter jacket. It's finally happened. I've gotten broken. Summer's officially over, and I'm taking the L on that. I'm going into hibernation, which means
San Diego winter, where it's what, 59 degrees, maybe
Death.
maybe 62. I don't know.
Death. I hate it.
We have Shellback Bo says, I was in San Diego for 18 months, worst 18 months of my life. I'm much happier back in Japan.
What is Japan
What?
like, man? What's going on in Japan? You guys have flying cars? Like, okay, worst 18 months. Was it your first 18 months of your life? Those aren't all that great because someone else has to change your diapers all the time.
Lucas says, but a puffer jacket might be a bit much.
I mean, try it yourself, man. I don't know. Try growing up here and having thin blood.
That's right.
I've done it. Yeah.
I got acclimated. So
Yeah, you got acclimated pretty fast.
Shellback Bo says, flannel guy sounds like Cy Kellett. I actually spent 20 seconds looking for Cy. I have been trying to get my Cy Kellett impression down, and it's kind of hard.
And it's seeping in right now. Let's hear the actual attempt.
So it's not going to sound anything like him, but welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. This is
Okay.
Cy Kellett, your host.
Okay. I hear the inflections.
888-318-7884.
I hear the inflections. You hear enough Cy Kellett, you can imitate at least the rhythm of his voice if you can't actually get the intonation in.
Delighted to be here.
Delighted to be here. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, Mel.
Ooh,
All right.
you like that. President Rhapsody, I need to visit San Diego again soon. Yeah, you all do. If you just come down and if you just come to San Diego and we prefer you call ahead, but you could just show up at the front door and then buzz in, and customer service will probably give you a tour if you don't look threatening.
Yep.
But yeah, you have to do that. Yeah, come visit San Diego because you can just stroll in and meet everyone. Unless
Speaking of, we have
it's-
guests in the studio walking in right now.
Look at that. The perfect timing on that. Oh my gosh, they have a baby too.
Well,
That's
you
adorable.
don't have to put them on the camera.
No, yeah,
don't do that.
Don't
Don't put
worry
them on camera.
about that. Yeah, walking into the studio is consent to be on camera without notice.
And speaking
that's-
of babies too.
That's good. Yes,
Adorable.
Yes, adorable. Love it. Him, her. My apologies. It's happened to me too. Love her. She's a fan already. That's so good. Yeah, sorry, you don't get to see Sai today. So to all
stick with us.
all you people in the chat, you can come. You might see Sai. You might not. Where is Sai today, by the way? I hadn't even asked that.
Traveling somewhere. I don't know.
Traveling somewhere. Sai is
It's in
on the
South
move.
Dakota. Can I say where is it?
No.
He's in one of the Dakotas.
I was going to say Carolina. But
One of the Dakotas, and it might not be the North one. That's where Sai Khaled is. So if you're there, track him down, I guess, and tell him how much better you like the show right now. I'm just kidding. Sai is great at this show.
All right.
You want to get into the last thing?
Let's get into the last thing.
Let's get into the last thing. Okay. Last week, the main character on Twitter was an AI ad that we really didn't like. Over the weekend, another main character popped up, at least on broader Christian Catholic Twitter, and that was the Christian heavy metal band called Skillet. Are you familiar with Skillet at all?
I am familiar with Skillet.
Okay, you might actually weirdly be more familiar with them than I am. I don't really listen to them, even though I'm known as one of the metal guys in the office. But
you listen to real metal, not Christian metal.
I'm not going to say that. I do like a few Christian metal bands. I will say that myself. So Johnny, if you're ready, they dropped a teaser to their music video for a cover of the Christmas hymn "O Come, Emmanuel." So take a listen to what the song sounds like, at least in the part that they posted.
Jeff, give us some sound. We can leave it there. Yeah. All right, cut it there.
Ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen, the sounds of the season brought to you by
I was going to
Skillet.
say, that doesn't put me in a very festive mood there.
Yeah. So my feelings are mixed about this. Musically, again, speaking as a metalhead myself, musically that sounds okay. That sounds all right.
According to you.
According to me, yes. To my sensitized or desensitized ears, as you may have it, it sounds all right. It's not my personal subgenre cup of tea, but like it works musically. But this is O Come, Emmanuel, as you may have heard at the beginning of
My
that
favorite
clip.
jam, and I think that just got ruined for me.
Did it?
Look,
so sorry.
I understand Skillet. I'm sorry if you're listening. I don't think they are, but Skillet, if you are listening, my apologies. But I agree with Michael Morvan when he says, "My goodness, is nothing sacred." There's some music that I think you just gotta just leave it in the genre that it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't put it doesn't put me in the festive mood, and I think that music should put you in the festive mood.
Right.
It's like playing Tanta Marigo in heavy metal.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like that would be weird.
That would be weird, especially in a liturgical setting. So, not to bring that into that. That's a whole new discussion about what music is appropriate at the liturgy. I think we can all understand. We can all agree that music's not appropriate in the liturgy. Yeah. The question the question I'm pondering is like, should this kind of song exist? Should this cover exist? And by the way, Skillet, I don't think is offended by what you said. They've been seeing a lot worse on the interwebs than what you said. So you were relatively gentle.
I think the argument that I would make in favor of is that it's a soft evangelization tool. Mm-hmm. That it's a great way to introduce someone who has zero care or understanding or appreciation for anything Christian, especially Christmas music, and bring it to a level that they can understand, and hopefully pulling them into something that's a little more reverent.
And
I don't know.
And you might say that the field of metalheads is somewhat ripe for that harvest. Who knows?
Yeah.
That could be.
Well, with you and the other metalhead in the office, John, you guys keep talking about how Christian a lot of the themes are in heavy metal music.
It's true, like almost unintentionally so. Like metal does have this reputation, and not entirely unwarranted, for being dark, for treating subjects of the occult and the satanic. There are bands who absolutely go way, way, way too far, in my opinion. I steer clear of them, and it's a little weird to that's why it's almost a little disjointed to think about the concept of Christian metal, because yes, the style of music that this is, it does lend itself to contemplation of the aggressive, of the dark, and contemplating those subjects is not why I like it. Like, the reason why I like heavy metal is because it sounds awesome. It sounds really, really cool, And that's why I said, like, musically, that clip sounded okay. But it is a weird sort of disjointedness that gets you into this pumped up, aggressive mood, and then you're also thinking about the hope and the expectation of Israel, promised throughout thousands of years of prophets and God's promise to Abraham and everything. That's not really something that coexists well in my mind. Yeah. What does coexist well with the music of heavy metal is, for example, the Metallica song "Creeping Death," which is
that sounds charming.
It is explicitly about the plague of the firstborn son, as recorded in Genesis. The band was watching some movie adaptation, dramatization. This was before The Prince of Egypt. I don't know which one it was. They were just this is the story. They were watching some dramatization of the Exodus story, and when it got to that plague, the bassist Cliff was like, "Whoa, dude, it's like Creeping Death," and then they wrote that song.
No way.
And literally, it's like it's from the perspective of the angel that is sent forth that goes to strike down the firstborn of Egypt. That is something that you can associate with the music, with the aggressive style of heavy metal, and it's an incredible song. It goes so hard. My only quibble with it is very minor and theological. In the chorus, it says, "So let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen one." God's not the chosen one; He's the Almighty. You could just, it was their sophomore record. They were a secular metal band. I'll give them some grace on that. You can just change it to the Holy One, and you're good.
I mean, that's slightly better theology than a lot of Catholics.
Yeah.
Say.
No, if that's the only problem with it, great. But it's interesting, like the secular bands kind of get it a little bit more, even if they're not trying to be Christian evangelists. They're just saying, like, hey, this is a cool topic that matches the vibe that we're playing. Another example, I can think of two different bands that I listen to a lot and that are not Christian in any sense at all, but they've both written songs explicitly about the destruction of Sodom, and Gomorrah, and and they start with describing the absolute the degeneracy that's taking place in those cities and the wrath of God that they incur. You can sing about the wrath of God, Christian metal artists. You know that, right? There are imprecatory psalms about the destruction of Israel's enemies. And if you want to make it, if you don't want to actually make that about destroying human enemies, that's fine. The original authors were about that. But make it about destroying sin. Make it about destroying the devil. Make it about actual enemies that God wants us to go to war with. You can channel this aggression and this fury that is really well represented in musical form and turn it towards a holy purpose. This is the and even then, it doesn't even have to be imprecatory or destructive from a human sense. It can be from God's perspective. And here's where I'm really going to take you, okay?
Let him cook.
Here's where I'm really going to take you. This is, in my opinion, this is this is the actual greatest heavy metal song ever written. This is like on my short list of objectively perfect songs of any genre. It is called Painkiller by the band Judas Priest. You might have heard of them. None of them are Christians as far as I know. And this is not even an explicitly biblical song, but if you read the lyrics, it is about a superpowered being that descends from the skies, from a higher realm, and comes down to annihilate all evil and rescue mankind and bring them back into like a state of glory. It is about that. That is a regular theme in Judas Priest songs, and Painkiller is par excellence. It's like everything that's musically, it's like the purest distillation of everything heavy metal is about. If you listen to it, brace yourself. It will take your face off in the best way possible. But like, does it get any more like eschatological than that? Does it get any more revelation than that? It's incredible. Like one of the verses starts out like, planets devastated, mankind's on its knees. A savior comes from out the skies in answer to their pleas. Evil's going under deadly wheels. If you look at the album art, the Painkiller is riding this motorcycle beast machine with buzzsaws for wheels. They're saying that's killing evil. That's killing evil right now. the secular metal bands get this better than Christian metal bands. That hits so much harder than O Come Emmanuel over a breakdown. You know what I'm saying? Like, the cognitive dissonance isn't there because you can channel this incredible energy into something that actually glorifies God in spite of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Non-metalhead Edgar over here.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If you want to get Thomas fired up about heavy metal, there you have it.
and look, and I'll give Skillet kudos. I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have made this. I'm not going to answer my question in the affirmative and say this song should not exist. But I'll give it to them because this is what they do. These are the talents they have, and they've chosen to use them to glorify God. I don't think they didn't glorify God by doing this, by making this song. And the whole song doesn't sound like that, by the way. That's only like the last third of the song sounds as heavy as that. The rest of it is a slow build, so there is a gentler side of the song. I don't think they failed in glorifying God that way. I just think you can do it better. You can do it better, and some of the secular bands who make this music actually understand that, even if they don't realize they understand that.
The same goes for Christian movies and secular movies.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct.
All right, we're going to end it right there because we're going to take a 5-minute break. When we come back, it's going to be 2 full hours with Dr. Carlo Broussard. And I'll say it like Si, right here on Catholic Answers Live.